Hey, good morning, girls. Happy Thursday. We're on the last couple days. So 2016 is getting ready to escort her way out, and 2017 is going to rush her way in. So I hope you're preparing and planning. Like yesterday, we talked about having a vision and a goal and a direction to go in, and I really hope that you're taking that to heart. I know for me, my goal today is to wrap up my virtual support clients, wrap them up, say by 1 o'clock, so that I run and get an eyeglass. I haven't had new glasses in a couple of years, so time to make sure I haven't gone blinder, right? But then come back and spend the afternoon really laying out the plan and creating the vision. Because my word for 2017 is consistent. And there's some areas in my life that I've not been consistent in, and it's just, most of it's personal. So like making sure I'm drinking my water, making sure I'm eating the meals. That's where I'm lacking, and that's what's, God tells us to be consistent in our walk, but also in our life, but if we're consistent in our ministries, our business and all of that, but we're not consistent in taking care of us, then we're missing one of the key components to thriving. So my focus is being consistent in all things. And when God says all means all and nothing else. So that means that every aspect, everything I touch in my life for 2017, I will be consistent in. Which means I may have to say no to more things and not do them so that I can remain consistent in the things that God truly wants me to do. So it's going to be an interesting year as it progresses. I'm excited for it. And I hope you're excited for year 2017 as well. There's going to be changes in this world, and we can either move forward in what's going on, or we can be like the percentage of people that just can't move past. I asked someone the other day, one of the questions I posted out there was, are you setting goals and visions? What are you planning for 2017? And they actually said, until the new presidential electee falls off the face of the earth, they're not going to move forward. And I thought that was really sad. Of course, they came back and said, oh, I'm just joking. But I really don't think they were, if I looked at all of their conversations that they have with others. So, it's really transparent if people look at the whole line where you are. But guys, don't allow the things out there to control your vision and direction, okay? Because those things out there, none of that matters. Because I don't care who's running this country. I don't care who you're working for. God is still in control. He is still the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. And girls, we've got to start hanging on to that. Okay? Stop. If you're on these bandwagons with these people that feel like they need safe places and, oh, I can't handle this, and the results have now caused me all this dismay, you need to get on your knees before God. Because seriously, election results didn't go the way many of us wanted 8 years ago, 4 years ago, but you didn't see what we see today. And I'm not sure if it's just a different mindset in the political parties, which I don't think that's what it is, or it's just this world is starting to slip further and further into that of total destruction, where it'll implode on itself. And Lord help them when God takes his people out and there is no light left behind. This is not a place I'd want to be. I know people mock us as Christians, but girls, they also want what you have. They can't understand how you move forward in stuff and they're stuck in the mud. We move forward because we have an internal hope. So that's a whole nother conversation. See, there you go. Oh, Lordy. Yeah, that's another conversation. I need to get back on the train tracks here. But I'm serious. We've got to really focus on what God's wanting us to do and stop being so concerned with what's going on out there. We need to know what's going on out there. Don't get me wrong. You need to know. But don't get caught up in the mess. Okay? Don't get caught up. It's so not worth it. The arguments with these people is so not worth it. You're better than that. Stand on the foundation you know, which is Jesus Christ. And everything else falls into place. And I'm going to say this right now. The only people that really need to be afraid are those that are lawbreakers or are living on entitlement. If you aren't out there putting yourself and creating your effort into stuff, then you need to be concerned, because I believe that entitlement is going away. Because you can't pay people if you don't have money to pay them. But God did not tell us. He told us not to be a sluggard. He told us that we need to be putting effort in to move forward. We have to work for our wages. That's why I get so upset when a client pays me and they don't give me the stuff to do. No matter how many times I ask, but they keep paying me. That drives me nuts. And at some point I finally say, we're done working together. Because it just, I can't take money for not doing some work. You know, everybody wants it, but it's just a whole different perspective when, you know, I don't understand out there, but I was raised different. I was raised different. I'm old school, I guess I can say that. That's what I keep getting told. Oh, you were raised old school. You just don't know how it is today. No, I do know. And it's sad. It's breaking my heart. So let's get on track. Sorry about that. I just had engaged in a conversation that's just really building in my head. So, and yeah, today we're talking about expectations. Great expectations, grand expectations. You know, did you have this big vision for something that you were working on? Did you have this grand expectation for a job that you were going to get? Do you have this fairy tale expectation of how your marriage was going to go? You know, we watch enough of these Hallmark movies, and I'm right there with you, girls. I love my Hallmark movies. But I look at that and I go, oh, that's such a great story. But it's just that it's a story. And see, what's happening is that people are watching the stuff and they're expecting that their life is going to be the same. You know, and we know for a fact, girls, that as women, we are prone to creating these great expectations, these grand visions of how our life will be. You know, that we'll be sitting in this luxurious home and have a maid that's cleaning the house and a cook doing this and the butler answering the door and the chauffeur. I mean, they make it look so grand. But what happens is we put these grand expectations. So let's say, for example, we're watching a Hallmark movie and we see some romance and, you know, there's this guy and this girl and they come together and he does some amazing things and, you know, just is the, you're like, wow, that was so sweet, aw, and all of that. But we take those expectations that we see and we want them applied to our lives. So what happens is we are prone to great expectations that our husband, our friends, our children, our relatives, our employers could possibly ever achieve. We have this fairy tale idea that we're expecting people to meet, and yet they can't. There's no possible way they can meet that. And then we turn around and we become greatly disappointed because things aren't the way that we thought they were. And this is perfect timing, because in my head yesterday, I thought that. Because see, Craig and I have been married, we're on 16 years. Love him, adore him. He took care of me for the year that I had the fractured back. And, you know, we've been inseparable since we got engaged, actually. To where he'd pick me up for work and take me home from work. I mean, he just really, really took care of me and treats me like a queen. Now, there's times that he's having a bad day, or there's times that I'm having a bad day, or times that just we get so busy that those thoughts come in your head, and that's the enemy telling you that it's not great, it's not good. And see, yesterday what happened is he says, oh, by the way, the week of January 7th, I'm going to work late in the night on Friday, half day Saturday and half day on Sunday. I said, okay, great. What hours are you working on the weekend? And he says 12 to 4. And I said, oh, that's right in the middle of the day, so that does ruin the day. Because his comment was they only made him work 4 hours, so it didn't ruin his day. And I thought, well, that does ruin your day, because if he's working all night Friday, he's not getting up on Saturday early. Then Sunday, he's got to be at church for both services to run the soundboard. And so therefore, I won't see my husband until the following weekend. Because by the time he comes home from work during the week, cook dinner, it's pretty much do the dishes, you know, maybe watch a recorded show, and that's it, we're done. Because he's got to get to bed so he can get up and do it over again. So the weekends we really look forward to. Well, I sit there and I have these expectations that on Saturday mornings I will go teach the ladies and meet with them, and then turn around and spend the afternoon and evening with my husband. That's my plan. That's the way we've been rolling for the past 8 months or so. Actually, almost a year now. But every time work comes in there and makes him do these hours, they always say, they're funny, they're like, instead of giving him 7 to 12, which still leaves him the whole day, they come in and say, oh, take 12 to 4. And that ruins the day. Because you're tired. It's taking that chunk, the heart of the day. And so I sat there and wondered, you know, why is this happening? What is going on? Instead of trusting God in it. I have expectations that cannot be met because life has to happen. His job has to happen. So do you pout, complain, pull away, or express deep disappointment because somebody isn't meeting your expectations? And that's whether it's a husband, a friend, an employer, a relative, a child, doesn't matter. Has somebody not been meeting the expectations you put on them? Well, then we have to set back on that, and we have to really allow God's grace. Because we set expectations for people that no person can ever meet. Now, sometimes they meet them because maybe the expectation isn't as high. But I think because of the stuff we see in this world, we create these grandeur ideas. Good morning, Kathy. Oh, I'm so glad to see you. I hope you guys are having fun. Been traveling with her and seeing family for the holidays, so I'm glad to see you pop up this morning. But the other side of our expectations, and this is the one, you know, when we talk about expectations on others, we really need to start showing grace with them. And we really need to start giving that leeway, knowing that the only perfect person in our life that can meet every single expectation we ever have is Jesus Christ. Our husbands cannot. Your children cannot. Your bosses cannot. Family, oh Lord, no they can't. Family's going to be the first one getting under your cross. And they're going to be under your skin, and they're going to be towing at you, and they're the first ones to annoy you. Trust me. Been there, done that, right? Now, let's go on the other side of this whole topic, because we know we need to show more grace to these people in our life and stop setting that bar so high they can't reach it. We don't live in a Hallmark movie world. We live in a real world where people are human. We always laugh. We say the best part of church is the people, but the worst part of the church is the people as well. Because sometimes People are people. We do things that are going to annoy the heck out of someone. We're going to irritate them. We're going to make them mad. We're not going to follow through when we said something. And that's fine. Show some grace. Because what does God show you? He shows you some grace too. But here's the big one that I want to focus on. That's kind of big, because I get that. I've lived it recently, and part of me is like, Greg, you need to find another job because I'm tired of him taking our time. But then I know I have to show him that grace because we've had amazing times. This is only one weekend they're doing it to him. I need to give him grace. And I need to understand he doesn't want to do it. He's doing it. Me as his boss says he has to. And in order to keep his job, he has to do what the boss says. So I get that, but in the moment, I didn't understand. The other side of this whole thing is our personal expectations of ourselves. How many times are you setting up standards and goals for yourself? Since we're talking about goal setting this week, how many times have you set that bar so high there is no possible way you're going to reach it? And then when you don't reach that expectation, what do? You beat yourself up. And that's where we get into trouble. But I'm going to read you one verse here, Philippians 1:20. And it says in there, my eager expectation and hope is that I will not be ashamed about anything, but that now, as always, Christ will be highly honored in my body. So, why do we set the bar so high on ourselves? Why are we so hard on ourselves? Why do we expect that, we set this bar in our personal life, in our career development, in relationships, we set it so high that we just can't make that. And we're not willing to change what we do. So I set this bar, right? We create our plan, we create our vision, and sometimes we create it in a way that is so, it's amazing. Don't get me wrong. It's amazing. It's fantastic. But there's not a possibility of you making it. Now, anything is possible through Jesus Christ. We know that. But we have to be realistic in our expectations. Even the church can disappoint you. So when we look at this, we have to answer and say, okay, how can we set standards, set expectations that are achievable, that are measurable? And I have actually 1, 2, 3, 4 more verse references for you. And it's just that what we need to know is that God is our plumb line. He's our measuring line for our lives and setting our goals. So like we talked about yesterday with goals and visions, even though you're creating a vision board, you're setting goals, you have to leave the room for God to move in those goals. Okay, why they are goals we're looking forward, because we have to set something to move forward to and focus on. However, we have to leave room for God to move in the middle of that journey. So here's some verses for you, because we want to set our expectations by God's word, not by the world's standards. And it is a big difference. Okay, so the first one, because see, here's the deal. Before I give you these, let me explain this. Because God's standards are different and they make no sense, right? We know, according to Psalms, or Proverbs, that his ways are not our ways, okay? We can't explain it a lot of times. We just move with it and do it. So when we do that, we look at here, 2 Corinthians 12:10, where God tells us the weak are strong. And in the world, we'd be like, what is that about? But we understand what it means when we say the weak are strong. The weak are strong means that even though we're weak, we are strong because of our relationship with Jesus Christ. The last shall be first. And that's Matthew 20:16. So that one doesn't make sense either, right? How can you be first if you're last? Through Christ, you can. The poor are rich, and that's from James 2:5. James 2:5. So why are we rich? If we're not having the wealth as the world sees it, how is it that we're so rich? Because we have a Father in heaven who owns everything. A lot of times all we have to do is ask and God provides, right? And then he says in Matthew 5:5, humility is an achievement. How could that be possibly true? That's because what we do is we set our standards, we set our direction, allowing God to move. See, because in the world, people would set their goals and visions and plans in motion and then be upset that it didn't happen. I'm doing this on my own. Where for you, setting your expectations and your goals and your directions, you know that the person taking you through step by step is Jesus Christ. So we have to get to a point where we stop longing for the happily ever after, that fairy tale, and we start longing after what God wants for us. We have to live in expectation of God moving in our life. We have to live in expectation of desiring Him to make the changes in us. I expect Him to move in my life. I anticipate Him to move. Sometimes it's not in the way I imagined. And in other times it's far greater. So will you join me today in rejecting the discontent, the striving, the murmuring, the whining, and the impossible outcomes of those great expectations that we dream about? Don't live your life as a fairy tale. Live your life as one that is a truly blessed woman of God who is thriving as she enters 2017. Put our expectations on what God's Word tells us and how God moves in our lives. Create your goals, set your goals, move forward with the expectation that God will intervene as needed to direct that path you're on. And if you're zigging and God wants you to zag, then you zag. Let Him lead. Let Him guide. Let Him direct you. And I'm not saying to lower your expectations. I'm saying be gentle to yourself. Be gentle to your fans, your friends, your family, your spouses. Be gentle. It's actually one of the fruits of the Spirit. Learn to be gentle as a woman of God and not beat yourself up over expectations. We just need to be aware. We need to seek God. And we need to trust, like the verse says here, Philippians 1:20. My eager expectation and hope is that I will not be ashamed about anything, but that now, as always, Christ will be highly honored in my body. Put your expectations on God, not on everything and everyone else. Because everything and everyone else, including yourself, will not meet those expectations. The only one that can is Jesus Christ. All right? So be gentle on yourself as you're going through and planning this week and getting ready for the new year. And stop striving and being discontent. And girls, if you're watching those Hallmark movies and you're saying, why isn't my husband like that? Stop it. Stop it. Lean in, press on God, and have Him reveal how amazing your spouse is. Have Him bring to memory the amazing things your spouse has done. And the same for yourself. If you're beating yourself up right now, because everybody's talking about what was achieved in 2016, and oh, these grand plans for 2017. And maybe your achievement this year is actually creating a plan for 2017. Lean in, press in on God. Be gentle to yourself. Don't measure yourself by other people. And I say that with a whole heart to you, because I know I've done it before. I still do it on occasion. But I have to remember that God created you and me as unique individuals. Unique, gifted, beautiful, amazing, powerful vessels that God can use to touch lives right now and in 2017. Will you step up to the plate and own it? Will you live in expectation of what God will do? Not what the world will do, not what the movies tell you. Expect God to move. Anticipate His movement. Be gentle on yourself and those around you, and you will thrive as a woman of God. All right? Have a great day. We will meet for our last time this year tomorrow. Yay! 2017. I am kind of excited to see where that's going to go, and lots of great things. I know we've got our women's conference coming up in March here in York, and I'm excited. We open sales tickets starting Sunday or Monday. I think we're doing it starting at Sunday, and it's really cool because we've got a beautiful design T-shirt. They're going to get the other speaker's book on. It's on forgiveness, basically, Naomi, and actually it's on mentoring each other. It's the Ruth and Naomi story, and they're going to get a great lunch, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got worship planned. We've got a coffee bar sponsored by one of our local companies out here. It's just going to be a blast, and I can't wait because I can close my eyes and see it. God has created such an amazing thing for all the women. So if you're local here in South Carolina, anywhere near York, so even if you're up in Charlotte or Raleigh, come join us. I'll post up the website in the Healthy Mindset Cafe once I confirm it's done. I think it's supposed to be ready for us on Sunday, but it's going to be a great thing. Lunch is being catered in by McAllister's, so we're excited. We are so excited, and the T-shirts are gorgeous. So anyhow, and I don't wear T-shirts in public much, but I'd sport that one because it's really awesome. All right, so love you girls. We'll catch you tomorrow, and we'll wrap up 2016. Bye-bye.